All right, y'all. So I wanted to give an update on some of the projects that I have going on. And, for those of y'all who don't know, I'll go ahead and give a little bit of introduction and why I got into this and how it got started. Um, if y'all have seen any of my other channel videos, this is kind of how I got started in writing. Um, I was a correctional officer down in Florida, and in the dorms that we had, where I was working at, some prisons in Florida have them, some don't, but this particular one had computers in the dorms. Now, I worked night shift. Most of the inmates were asleep. Didn't have too much going on, you know, security checks every hour, counts. That's about it. Well, I'm sitting there one night and I got to thinking, spent a lot of time here just watching inmates sleep. Maybe I'll go ahead and start writing. And I started writing my first book. Um, it's called Against the Flow of Mississippi. Now, I had no clue of where it was going, what I was going to do with this, but I just started writing. You know, one page became six. Next thing you know, a few weeks later, I'm looking at over 100 pages, and I'm like, wow, kind of impressed here. Because I really didn't think that I had the patience to sit down and write. Now my book is in the final finishing touches before I go ahead and start editing it, and I'm looking forward to getting that published. I would like to get it published this year. In fact, I think this is the year that I'm going to get it published. And once I get it published and find a publisher that I can actually deal with, not one that wants to own my own my work, and I've seen that. Um, Not talking bad about them, but Page Publishing was one of them that, well, we own your work for 2 years, and I'm not getting into all that. It's my baby. I wrote it. I own it. That's just the way I feel. Or I may self-publish. I have been talking with Joe Perone from Escarpment Press out of South Carolina. He's kind of a one-man shop, and I may actually get him to do it. Um, I like I like what he does. He does it for a hobby. It's not really a business, though he does make money with it. It's more like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and do this for you. And, this is what I'm going to charge you. And I'm cool with that. Seems like a really nice guy. So I may go with Escarpment Press. Um, the only way I probably wouldn't go with him is if I found a local publisher here in Mississippi. It's a fictional local interest book. I'm going to get into more and more about what that book is about in another video. But I think it would be better handled by a local publisher. But if I can't find that, I'm going to go with Escarpment. Another one of the books that I'm looking at doing is Beyond the Count, Life on the Compound, which is also one of my YouTube channels, and it is also kind of a look into what a correctional officer is. Um, I would like to I'd like to get that published as well. I'd like to finish that sometime within the next several months. I'm busy. I'm running a business. I'm doing 15,000 things, but I would like to get those two done this year. Um, But beyond the count, life on the compound. The reason I chose that is because everybody knows what count time is, and I'm going to do a more in-depth video. I'm just going to go over a little bit now, but everybody knows that we got to count inmates on the compound. Well, this is beyond the count. This is the inner workings. This is the psychology between inmate and officer, and it goes from there. Um, Another book that I'm doing is called Little House on the Point. Basically, it's a guy here in Biloxi, Mississippi. It's set in 1915, and he's a shrimp boat captain, owns his own shrimp boat. Doesn't really bother nobody, but he tries to make a little extra on the side. Um, During Prohibition, so it's one of those deals to where it's basically the little guy fighting a corrupt system and just trying to make it. Basically, is what it's about. Again, every one of these books I'm going to do an individual video on explaining what it is. Uh, and one of the works that I'm working on is actually a dramatized biography of my grandpa, and I call that one Bloody Biloxi. The reason that I'm using my grandpa is my grandpa was a law enforcement officer. He was a deputy sheriff here in Harrison County, Mississippi. He's the reason I got into law enforcement. He is one of the dirtiest, most corrupt people I think probably that has ever wore the uniform. If not, he's up there. Um, he was a racist. He was a rapist. There's really nothing positive I could say about my grandfather at all. Um, and I'm basically telling his story, and I'm probably going to get a few people aggravated at the way I'm doing it, but I don't care. It's a story that needs to be told because the way I feel about it is if you don't look at history and you forget where if you forget where you've been, you're gonna lose track of where you're going. In that, I say that to say this: I don't want history to repeat itself. Um, and the last piece of work that I'm doing is a series called "The Fighting Mississippians," and that's actually going to be a 6-part book series that covers a family from Southwest Mississippi, and it's going to go through the war between the states and on down the line up to the Vietnam War. And it's basically a family of service. And I think it's got some potential, but I just started it, so I don't really want to get into it too much. But every one of these books will have their own video, and I'm gonna upload some of them tonight, some of them at a later time when I get a little bit better idea of where I want to go with the book. But hope y'all enjoy. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for watching.